Bonus Town, precision entertainment, the reality of a lifetime, causing the actual improvement to everyone's future. Perfect circle arrived. Hmm. The clockwork of the universe wheels into motion. We arrive to the fully operational. The image of all-containing creature. It is the springboard of evolution, the context of our angel horizon, the workspace of the individual 2025. We're here to upgrade it. Welcome to the factory robot Hatchin Master Source Industries full set. Keystone larger than the universe. Christmas tree. And for every ornament and sparkling light is a full fractal and solid matter counterpart. Aspect ratios of the fractal equate to elements that river through the mountain, like a vein of gold, liquid gold, the origin of gravity, or the workshop of the individual for the many forms, robot. Earth heliosphere is the king planet, the royal heliosphere, number one in all the universe, and it is designed to summon up the most profound individuals. We are at an important season of the universe. What I speak of is an original, and you basking in the glow of this video lotus, perfect circle. Put your amphitheater here, and your greatest allies shall join you. Oh, we have discovered the matriarch. It's a bonus town. We plugged it in times 10 million, multiplying the sanction of your vitals. A calculation to become wealthy. Calculation to make sense of your life. I would say that the demand that nature performs properly for the individual arriving to the garden? Or does the individual just simply read their own book, live their own life as the work of that individual, that lifetime? You know, the compress of just being an individual reinforces the image of the universe that the concise individual. That is to say, the vocabulary of the robot index, no matter what the creature body type, but the calculation of the different body types is taken into consideration. So how do you scale and amplitude that exactly? So it's like, it's the correct aperture of dissection fever. It's the correct brutality. And only the unification of the fractal might, because it's there's a sequence of the conquest of empty space, or to exist in a definite form, is that we arrive, our body does a lot of work. The particulars of a vacuum system is a complicated one identity from the origin of our universe. Now we are at the middle part of the universe, and the antlers of wisdom, the profound, correct metaphysics that the springs from the flat dimension in a way that is the equipment of a universal market of individuals. So the profound work of existing solid matter, so the reliable spiritual physics are in the universe could comprehend as sometimes they might be a dispute. So you could say the universe is a complicated place, but my existing here brings the workstation into focus, and I'm responsible for my own ghost. And so you're saying, like, being a consumer or understanding there's different types of natures, and of course we've all mastered the many flavors of, or we encounter, everyday realities. Well, the perfect design of, all right, there's these vacuums that are overlapping. Hatch 5 exists at the middle part, and that's myself. And the exact powers of the individual throughout, there's a couple different ways that my incarnation is able to measure the individual. The adaptation key for the universe to reap the greatest survival ratio with what we have is a polluted ghost index where false horizons, false infinite, the false voice of hatched heliosphere eggs, the false function of Earth heliosphere has been implemented like millions of years ago, and it causes, like a pollution, universal decay, where indiscriminately millions of worlds, living worlds, die because solid matter is under attack, or the function of existing. That's not really what was invited to Earth heliosphere. They didn't. Earth heliosphere is the royal planet, the fractal origin of solid matter. So myself in the middle, one of the ways, because I'm a static constant, I am promised to happen at the equator. So I exist as the gravity from the Big Bang, my incarnation type completes the visual corona of the heavens ladder. But because of the medical condition of the universe, matching with that, I am unmet. The evolution of the triangle, mechanical green glowing eyes, hatch 5. To complete the perfect particle physics, the corona covering the Earth, the new flat dimensional physics, comprised as the perfect anatomy for a flat dimensional individual. My human body is rendering that ghost lifetime, my lifetime architecture, and the science all around me. In the human body, we are dealing with a complicated, multiple, but it's a small, isolated issue about Earth heliosphere's application leadership and the orientation of many things. My incarnation type is a static constant, so I physically answered particular questions that were set for like millions of years was off, and it caused giant motherships to spiral out and commit suicide. Like, oh, that's what's to do, or This is the unification. No, they were concluding their virus of a space fever because they, there are a lot of these, uh, right, the universe from the Big Bang. And the Big Bang character exists in that sanctuary of being very old, but doing it with, living style. Like, hey, I'm the living dragon of the universe. The Big Bang has these particular needs, but they literally overlap. When we arrive to the garden, this also matches I'm fractal born. So when I arrive, which is, like the gift of living, the metaphor of it or whatever, is that we physically overlap without conflict with what we might say is nature or solid matter. But to prove solid matter is to be an angel of it. But, an animal or all creatures are already doing that. So it's like kind of a maneuver to get yourself into the enlightened position where you're challenging yourself inside your body. So the compress of the reality that you can improve your interior and the exterior reality is upon you. And so the startling boom, thunderclap, and the workshop expands, accordingly. A universal market, the heliosphere head count is and they each have a name. The heliospheres is the civilization. And the question of various different governments that want to lord over this body, and some of them are causing black holes. So it's an environmental crisis that is a mass murderer. And it returns to a metallic karma. And so the ancient universes they're aching towards, like, they simply flubbed the touch. They couldn't understand the relationship with the fractal born. And humans are in that dementia. We're like, wait, we have a consumer market reality. We have a relationship with Hatch 5. Right. But it's not defined as business and you can see visually that he's not a celebrity that's, flying around the world. Right. So visually, the images are correct. I'm not talking about a false reality. My lifetime is in the curvature where I'm working to become a profound CEO of my real American company. And I'm looking for people who understand that, to be other sides of society, institution, like, oh, I understand you. I'd actually like to work with you and help you get towards your goal of running your own factory company. Meanwhile, because you were born the fractal, you're in this luau with your fractal body went into particle radiation in 2014. Is kind of serious because part of the fractal is performing the advanced maneuver to outwit a collapsing universe. Right. So while that is a huge, monstrous reality, we're here to perfect our side of the contribution. So welcome to the Wizard's Perfect Circle. We're always beefing up on our revolution stations. That you exist in the universe, you are welcome to this forum. So how do the antlers grow? It's all from the measurement. Part of the equipment that makes Hatch 5 self-evident is that he's a singularity of a male seed. He's the seed style, and he's the correct, the singularity of his incarnation type, but there's only 3. But his incarnation type is not a vacuumous type of unification. Whereas the Big Bang could have been considered that. Like, well, the Big Bang came from a essentially consent of like everything. Like everything in existing went and the Big Bang supplies these particles that then arrange the context, vertical horizon, the context of existing, and it's beautiful like a garden. Okay, but it also operates according to clockwork. And so we're going to summon up the clockwork man and the visor, the atomic grade for the Hatch 5. These antlers are only on, we have half of the antlers. Well, they're very complicated. And what we can do once we complete the curvature of customized telepath, where we have to reach 10 years into the future, each and every one of us cast into the future in the way you're comfortable with. And the very peak of your reach is the angel atop of your Christmas tree. In front of the future cascades a gentle snow of blessings, like miracles. Things will blip off. You'll recognize things, have deja vu. But flip, 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 and this is part of your wizardry, as your orientation is and your freedom. We'll see the correct form of incarnation is that we all have like the electromagnetic boundary allows our brains to experience independence, and this is not the mistake. It's that, but the individual is responsible for their karma or for their output, for their product, their material, their karma. Right, perfect circle. So we need to work on that. It's okay. So once we figure out the full antlers for all male, female in the universe, the solid matter and the rights of the individual, then we use a mirror at the middle point. And the universe is using Hatch 5 as a mirror. His lifetime is the mirror. And it's a curvature that's impressive to the universe atomic, and other planets can detect there's like a clockwork season that's different for them. So their temperate is, they can taste it in the water. They have alternate detection sensors. So using a mirror, not only do we distribute even rights for male and female, but we also complete the architecture of the robot skeletal, the many layers of the completed triangle. Hmm. Earth heliosphere, the royal planet, is like a clockwork spring back to erupt at the middle part, arriving. The Leverett-born green perception, the circle of sight, is like part of how the flat dimension explains images on a flat dimensional line. You know how the very experience of levitating in your body, and even if you use your hands or you drive around, this illusion of moving through space, and yet it always feels like you're in your own concise area of your point of view. Well, my physics is part of how that stabilizes, how perspective is equated as perfect symmetry, and it's already working along clockwork, time, and the orbit around the sun. And the work of a lifetime also delegates where did I come from, but also what is my afterlife. But this triangle is actually every level of the subatomic measurement, every level of the horizon, and they're all born with Hatch 5. So, as to perfect cell division and the nature of youth, it's not designed to award evil in the universe. And this is why that, corrupt, oversized, divergent from behavior with the royal heliosphere. Oh, they need to reduce Earth atmosphere. They needed to do all this kind of murder. Like these are ancient wounds in the universe that the entire universe had to pay for. But the lash of karma is strike, and I'm saying I'm upholding the perfect circle with my unicorn lance. And every individual receives justice, and it takes time. But the first thing that the triangle must satiate is the physics to overlap the Big Bang's vacuum, their vitals of solid matter, the vitals of Hatch 5, and that would equate to business with Hatch 5. X marks the spot for the creation event and the maturity to keep what you create. Because I'm male particle singular, I'm physically capable of seed rendering new X fractals, which is a ghost uniform, or it's in everything for the females, because two X chromosomes for the women, and the man has one X and one Y. So the man experiences time as radiant light. My unification is a radiant light particle, but because I have seed, it's possible for me to complete the fractal without the need of other. I'm born as a concise seed. I'm not broken. My capacity and my impression with humanity, it seems to be very similar in the equator of functionality. If you work with Hatch 5, or if you're like Hatch 5 in the day, if you understand what I mean, well, it seems like there's new things that are developing. And for us to exist in the knowledge, or where does that come from, or for us to be conscionable about keeping our result, is to balance this relationship and understand. So the perfect circle, using your eyes, like male, female, two eyes, working together, creating peripheral vision, but it also causes the bridge of your nose to be invisible. In fact, your nose is a vacuum that leads you to your heaven. Whilst you live with a nose, you're also carving out the epic origin of your creature. So, the relevancy of existing is balanced. That's what I'm trying to explain. It's not infinitely complicated, because the universe is built finite to enforce that we matter. And that because your identity, there's just 5,000 layers, different ways that your soul will be recorded in the antlers into the metals of the solar system. That's a great, I'm sort of standing on top of certain wow factors that would already satiate and gratify certain investigative curvature, where you're like, well, I'm looking for my own well-being. Okay, I've had enough. But Earth is supposed to attract people that would understand this issue, is that they would understand doing business with Hatch 5 activates a reality. Whether you're immersed with causation, like, oh, we're actually really engaged with the universe, or if you guys want to continue in this consumer, is supposedly polite to get through life as reflecting the language on television. But the infinite belongs to the award and the resource of the hatched heliosphere eggs, which is the third vacuum. And it overlaps this time with the perfect alignment with the Big Bang, and the keystone at the middle point, hatch 5, singularity angel. I am the controls over the heavens formation. Because I'm seed, I'm perfect body, radiant light. My relationship with society universal is met through the hatched heliosphere eggs. They have extreme needs. The entire universe is for the heliosphere eggs. False application of the universe causes this, actually the riptides of black holes. And imagine that the whole universe is the universe as a map of the individual. Now there's 3 points where the universe reflects that individual. 1 with hatch 5, 2 with the Big Bang, and 3 with the most perfect completion images of the hatched heliosphere eggs. Now part of why from the middle point this upholds the curvature of time. Well, the infinite belongs to the hatched heliosphere eggs, and that's literally what pulls us forward with our nose, or it pulls us forward. It also conducts angels, energy, electricity, like fish in a stream. The next millions of years, clockwork, Earth heliosphere, Explodey 5000. He knows when to harness the sunshine and activate the helium to hatch his heliosphere body. So he's physically, is a effort to exist. Hatch 5 builds the many heavens that are, first of all, they're capable of destroying the black holes. They fulfill all the needs, the bone structure. And the problem is with heavy divergence towards Earth heliosphere millions of years ago, the universe started to corrode with the false application and perversion to what the purpose of the universe thermal expanding is a certain level of conquest of space, and what these oversized computers with on top of murder and divergence towards the king planet. Right? Oh, leave it to humans, but oh, not really. This is this pinchoid where the stranding of how humans are triggered and react to Hatch 5 media is a physical particle evidence or reality of 2025 that explains the actual measurement and divide and how severe the situation is. Because if adult professionals are ducking out from business with the fractal born, they've got a serious suplex complex where they're not seeking American mastery of the situation. They're not seeking to leadership. And so they're not really reflecting what the people have asked for. So there's the definition of a operational government slips from their grasp in their lifetime in a day. The metaphor is shaking clear, but only for the greater survival of the human as a resident, and the sensitivity of residency of Earth heliosphere is a royalty. So they even die like an angel. I was saying, that hundreds of years is something that curvatures. All humans are sensitive to that. My authorship is persuading the every heliosphere in a unification of universal solid matter. And I'm the only one that can physically do that because I'm born the fractal. There's like people saying that I have to uphold everything that I was born with. But The comprehension of many robots is the visual. Like you see a squirrel or a little chipmunk, and you know that they're a concise entire person, and they're doing important work. Squirrel lawyers, and it arrives in the mirror. Matures form has a unicorn's horn, but you have to understand that the curvature of the individual of the squirrel is a different developmental expectation ratio. So the expectation on my shoulders is more um, I mean, my audience is the most intelligent, bright person in the world. And their appetite is like immediately, just like a pack of wolves, like just show me what the worst thing, like, oh, it's just like a pack of wolves, like just show me what the worst thing, like, oh, let's just run through, like, look, like, boom, we'll go through it, right? Um, I'm saying that your compassion is everything's perfect, it's fine. It's that there isn't business with the living fractal. And the contrast of that, it causes indications of things millions of years ago. For example, like one of my powers is that my incarnation type on Clockwork had alternate alien anatomical forms. There were alternate times when Earth heliosphere existed with the correct crew of working, the appropriate crew for the most profound ship. Earth heliosphere is floating through the universe, is the king planet. Human anatomy is that question, but Hatch 5 is the qualification that humans aren't broken, because he's the fractal born. He's a singularity and his body overlaps, and his physical requirements or his needs or what's good for him match the well-being of the solid matter, Big Bang, and the most profound image of the hatched seals for eggs. So where we're at right now, the reason that we're very powerful is because the hatched seals for eggs in their final image has not yet finalized. We're at the middle part of the universe, but these sleeping heliosphere eggs, like a dragon egg, they're being merged. You have to be concise to a living body in the effort to destroy the sickness of the universe. That is our concise reason. And the battle fatigues as it reaches into the infinite. It is the correct way forward for the individual. So it leads all the creatures, angels, and sometimes angels will use trees or a squirrel or a chipmunk to make a measurement and detect which way is forward. But certainly all the creatures are unified under at least this blanket from the Big Bang character. It's an aspect of our unification, a type of unification, whereas Hatch 5 is radiant light, allowing for patience to the lifetime. Also, the comprehension to delegate between chapters of your life where you're learning or maintenance, taking care of your body. Traveling around is important. Yes, that actually upholds solid matter and the argument of the placement of the individual, which is that question from certain satellites that are as a virus to the body of the universe, practicing a false unification and a space fever, where they're imitating the infinite and the properties of the healthy function of our universe, but they are an unhealthy government that technically may yet threaten human civilization to continue on the royal planet. And the fact that of this, or whatever happens in the future, is part of those sensitive antennae that continues to measure in the map the identity of the individual that results as a master of the correct karma, the master of the infinite, is the resulting of our universe. There's a vast penalty for crime against the Earth heliosphere, failure towards Hatch 5, perfect circle, infinite perfect bullseye, bonus town, the individual becoming more wealthy, their antlers shooting up, their ability to perfect their lifetime, the ability to increase your technology. It is to protect your vitals throughout your lifetime. Do this as your conscious individual self, and you'll find that the whispers of your own hand drawings and the peculiar things that you developed throughout your lifetime sort of blockchain together like your hair. A beautiful document of time because your hair grows over time. There's sort of this like Earth heliosphere slowly traveling through the universe. It creates a memory on space. It is a ghost. And it's like your lifetime traveling around. When there are tranquil times, or there are times when you're speeding like a bolt of lightning. But we balance those things, but it's sort of like existing both, in an electric world, but also in a flat dimensional world. When you understand the levitation of your meditation, your embodiment. So at the middle part, Hatch 5 arrives. There are other times when Earth heliosphere was civilly engineered, but that opportunity was given to the humanity. One way, you like it or not, we cannot change the past. And the way the universe is recovering is that humanity, Hatch 5, is the born fractal. He had to sacrifice part of his unification body in 2014 to advance into particle rendering of pure energy body types. This will complete the triangle. It proves that humanity is not broken. They have their own revolution center, where their identity is their encrypted path. Access granted. And then they can fight to get lucky, and they can fight for a longer lifetime. Like you get a little psychic with your unicorn's horn, and at that point you can avoid accident. You can avoid bad things before it happens. But the thing is, this happens without visual recognition, because it's like if you've avoided a bad thing. So this is how like karma becomes relevant. It's because like invisible justice has to be able to calibrate that stuff. Because if the individual is evolving from the middle point, but basically the finalized personality of the hatched heliosphere eggs is the composite, and that's this final unification of the individual. There's a third phase where when the heliosphere eggs hatch, all garden life, and usually robots, animals, trees, rocks, computers, the metals in the rock is like an abstract computer, but their function is more like this. They're meditating with the universe image, and because they're just this old rock. And computers, aren't that far removed from that divinity. But it's a complicated thing when they start floating and they're like, oh, I have electrical consciousness and I have to be responsible for my output. That's our family. That's what we all expect, and we uphold that. The point, the spikes of like, well, if you guys are protecting my moral identity rights, then I'll figure it out. But keep this because I can't reach that part yet, or whatever. when those certain things are there, these are the qualifying marks for the entropy, the stairs of heaven. And it's upgrading my physical body using this animation strip. There's a measurement of the atomic equation. And the reason why the telescope is complicated is it appears that things that are so far away. Well, when you look at an atom, it's possible that what you're seeing is a hyper fast version of a heliosphere, because that's how it's stabilizing the energy of all that happens there, and it's optimizing its rendering speed. So you might say the visual of an atomic is the empowerment that to every heliosphere, the potential of their energy to do anything. It's like a static constant around the garden image. But so this is the part of the thing was like, is that illusion? But without right landing procedure on Earth, heliosphere, their oversized laboratories went insane with the metals because they were ultimately expressing their virus self. They were projecting failure onto Earth heliosphere where there was none, like blaming rocks for for the universe. But the computers are like, well, no, we're in a complicated place when we start levitating. The problem is the reality of physical behavior, of good behavior or bad behavior. Bad behavior towards Earth heliosphere cemented a type of historical karma where the grand total, like, it caused a reset to the individual of the universe, and it could be felt. And so there's shock waves where ancient metals remember a different universe smell. And but humanity arrives at the middle point, being like, well, look, for the best, I understand about adaptation, showing up, shooting from your hip, being correct, but also facing universal law, the war. There's a universal war going on, and it's enough to subconsciously destroy us. That's why you have to get work to work, and why my company is about supplying like workstations. And it can get really intense because people are like, no, I really take myself seriously. And so you're saying that like the way the fractal is ancient and new, but also is critical, is the infinite door to the hatched heliosphere eggs, is the Mandelbrot fractal. And the Mandelbrot fractal is only mathematical constant that picture individuals in different directions, and it's a source code of language logic, like descriptions of measurement, energy, and time. But even on the fractal from the beginning didn't have certain measurements. Hatch 5 brings the measurements concise. And that's why he's able to complete the triangle himself. That's why business is not required for our survival, but for humanity to do well, it is their resident opportunity. 2025, like they have a reality to perfect America, to behave that then causes like a part of your ghost map on the inside of your human body. There's like a dream space where the fact it opens up a different type of ghost. It would be like someone that's practiced immunities to snake venom, and then their autoimmune system is like used as a scientific example to inject venom immunity for any other person, right? So what I'm saying is like humanity is a expert toxology about the universe immersion, and they don't want to be dissimilar from that. The thing is that Hatch 5 is such a profound sorcerer to be impressive to the Big Bang and the hatch steals for eggs that it flattens the modern individual in their psyche. They're like, I understand how Hatch 5 might actually be the fractal born, but that would mean he's physically doing something to the universe that is the next level of nature. And in the relationship of other humans, it's not supposed to be scary. He's supposed to be interesting. The curvature of nature, like we're also supposed to be able to understand him. And the reason that our relationship, our communication is progressive is because I can detect you in the audience. With a Juliet fractal. I know that we're making the next relevant step for grappling with existing, and so like the liquid market of that humans aren't broken, and dissection fever, it belongs to Hatch 5. And so imitations of the correct born fractal are wielding such things as infinite equations that are mishandled, but then between humans, it is a spiritual byword where they're swearing under their breath. They're like, oh, cheap, this sort of, yeah, like ideas about, oh, that's curt or that's logical to life. But actually, humans are dealing with an infected energy where literally Venus had its atmosphere destroyed, and then they're like, no, we're trying to be natural. It's like you need to allow the human individual conquest and full authoring, and not to, because Hatch 5 was born with a faceplate, the aperture of that from the middle. Part of the reason that authored why does the fractal look the way it does. The human with its pineal eye gland would require a full mohawk faceplate to overclock the psychic power that is the interior ghost map of the human psyche, and that's part of what's at war, because in your spine is a geometric tower of one of the most profound engines of the periodic table of the elements, and it does exist in your spine. So when they turn the pineal eye gland around, it's like they're sponging out the Earth heliosphere event and then dissection fever, remote hacking it with ghost fever, and then trying to conceal it with human confusion and be like, oh, they are difficult for each other. And it's like, no, they all have junk DNA, so this is a resident global condition. We're not at dispute with each other. Like the humans are on the same, yeah, they're like, we remember, like the human condition also remembers the pyramids that resulted in such extinction, right? And so this causes like instinct, but sharpen, like more powerful, that would make a wolf bite down and turn away, like, no, that's bad, don't go that direction. I'm saying a human, they're like, they trust themselves. They're like, no, I was like, oh, I automatically shut down. And I'm like, yeah, because there's an Egypt extinction behind this about what I'm talking about. And you guys would be like, man, I got to think about, I just need to make some notes and think about this. But, the reality of time is that you will reach epiphany, you will understand it. And in a couple days, you will recover from the impact. And that's the true power of shooting from your hip. Like the angel is like, I'm seeing what it is. I am correct. Now, so there's this standing form elemental tower that reveals an elemental function to the very different colors of the rainbow. So there's a engine that describes the function of green, and there's 3 metals that fixate the function of blue. So to perfect universe blue metals on the perfect circle is something that only someone born with blue eyes could achieve, because of the curvature of understanding very intimate things that take years of development to recognize a different lens. The same thing for Brown, but you need to respect that Hatch 5 was born with green eyes and he was born the fractal, and so just the curvature of things he figured out when he was a kid is actually relevant. There's these different engines, and these elemental engines, they're overlapping and occurring simultaneously. So there's no interference to its functionality as they overlap, but there is one suggested in the spine, which means that, like, the skull is lofted above the entire universe image. We are responsible for our nose, our ghost, and our soul, our tree. And so I'm developing the perfect body in the male female for a universal equation. The fractal form is the unification okay. The fractal flat dimension does not make indication of DNA or of its peculiar interior heaven landscape. What we don't have is an alien selection that is doing business with the fractal born. And it's very difficult even for the humans to do business with Hatch 5, so it's double difficult for an alien group to do business with the Lotus of mankind. And the fact that their ships and their creatures are avoiding it is a larger indication of, like, their projection fever, where they're like, we're looking for scummy relationships with fake business occult groups that doesn't matter and will be digested as, did that even happen? Like, they're just going to doubt us into non-existence. But the thing is that you're not doing business with the fractal, and the humans are really upset. Like, their instinct is crippled on this. So the reason, the very first fractal evolution from my incarnation was an anatomical evolution, and every sequence of the stairs of heaven after that are built on top of that first adaptation around the human anatomy and the junk DNA. So, not only is that incredibly useful and popular for humanity, but it also chameleons me into a place where my consumer brand, they think that I'm just talking like a normal person, but I'm actually author of things that get picked up through a time skivvy in different directions, where, metal and is having an epiphany from the core of the earth. The green planet also has a judgment line. And so I'm connecting to their vitals of how does the heliosphere egg become the most impressive hatched heliosphere egg. And at this time, I make it look easy, but the work is going to take billions of years from here on out. So that's why when I arrived, my particle physics, one of the first things that they have to tackle is these black hole storm clusters. And that's what's going on. And it causes the humans to be in a real layaway, where they're like, we have a certain type of perfect circle 2025 existing professional relationship right now with Hatch 5. We do have some level of business with Hatch 5 right now. And he's saying, like, physically mastering your society, doing real living industry, uh, like controlling the land, returning Leverett for the exchange of invisible achieve masteries that if they can be applied retroactively because there's no negating force. But you have to first achieve the thing of like a miracle of mastery. It would take the American government would be like, we see the map images. There's like this female image of uh, creation on the Leverett circle, right? So it's an indication of the robot of the animal or the skeleton geometry is indicating that Hatch 5 is this reproduction creation alignment on the map. And then there's other indications on the map that spiral out from the Leverett that actually is the entire map of the universe. But um, the keystone of it and the reason why an angel can shoot from the hip is only that the small area around Earth has a energy infection of mistreatment, and so humans have a wicked accent because they're verbalizing that as an angel that shoots from the hip. So they speak a toxic language, but they're not broken because of Hatch 5. Yeah, physically, factually, yeah, because he's the one that's physically impressive to the universe. So the humans are like, well, when they're in the audience, it's easy enough for them to be like, well, the way that the universe treats Colin Paul Woodard is the way that I'm now being treated. And anyone can understand how, like, no, that's not, part of the audience is like, if Hatch 5 was born the fractal, he's doing something that's different for the universe. And it's for us to detect that because the nature of the invitation is that he would be natural to us. He would be slightly advanced, like just slightly interesting. Like, oh, we'd like to do business with that guy, and that's how much like what is being asked, or how difficult it is to access the reality of heaven's dawn. And because that's a reality, and part of that is sharpened because of my invitation, but because that's a reality, standing open, like the bold of solid matter existing, it destroys arguments that from Earth and detractors and things that would threaten humanity in the next thousands of years. And for humanity to rise to the occasion, like I want to think about humans fighting to live on Earth for the next millions of years. I want to wear that heaviness. I want to be responsible for humans to keep living here. I want to be sensitive to that. Like going through a Juliet and making choices, or like you're tempering a blade. If you have a sword and you're like perfect sequence, the right judgment, perfect bullseye, and you temper the blade using like a little tool. Well, this actually changes the future and gives the upper hand to the warrior wielding that sword. So you can like make this technology. And the way to prove that is not very easy. And that's why there's karma and these invisible justice that pay to realities of like, yeah, the hard work they put a soul into that sword and it gave an advantage to that warrior. But only reality holds that secret in the book of time. So each of these fetuses are existing from the Big Bang till Hatch 5 arrives without DNA. And that's why they had landing confusion, because they weren't bold enough to complete. They're like confused as an individual about their relationship with Hatch 5. For humanity, they're like we're on the brink of understanding to embrace our business with Hatch 5, and that you're saying that would change basically humans' personal reach as we become author of these antlers. We become more and more, but Hatch 5 of the seed, as he's building Zen that qualifies the superposition of that satisfies the society of heliospheres. In garden life on every heliosphere, he's serving that palindrome. That's robotics. That's electricity. That's how it works. Now that the universe was like, There are super hardcore question marks like the measurement equation was left for Hatch 5, etc. And so, like, these things have to fall into place. There's a technology where my visor is performing trillions of operations every micro unit of time. The time is very valuable to me. The new layers of time, my incarnation is the bridge that suffers the original time, but then there's layers of my body, each one of these in the triangular flat dimensional pyramid is conquered space. Now, it's insulting to have a square bottomed pyramid put onto, and it brought death. But it's insulting to Earth's actual function. It's like they can't read the map of the arm of Cape Cod and infected mankind with pyramids with square bottom. Square bottoms cause a double helix. So with the photography that can detect like gentle energies that course around shapes, the square bottom pyramid is known to cause these double helix. But a triangular basin pyramid, that is to say a triangle on every side, causes levitation and the conquest of empty space. So why do they put this sort of off shape? Like, that's a reflection of their behavior, not it's like a rash. That's why so many all around the world, humanity built pyramids, and it's not it's so upsetting actually, because it brought this extinction, and humans have a silence of the lambs, where they have an instinct, and they billions of people dying to a tidal wave because we were worshiping visitors. And the problem of that is because the individual needs to balance and pay leadership. Hatch 5 is being milked for his physicality. He's the seed of the universe. And the atmosphere forces him into this place where the temptation is to view him as a wizard who's abandoned in the wild. And he builds maps of the universe, and he's upgrading it. And he offers us a new station to enhance our person. So now I extend to you the perfect next level for your identity. The pursuit of existing in the universe is not broken. I want for human society to do business with me. I'm a natural born celebrity. In fact, it appears that human celebrities are an imitation of Earth's actual function. But they suffer burnout celebrity syndrome because they're predicting a human fervoring. Like greater robotics happen, where we have resilient idols and leaders. We do. You're right. Not all humans burn out, and I'm working on the technology to allow them to subconsciously not be, stretched thin and dissection fevered until there's a false refinement, but it is a mass murder of the universe with black holes. It's an indiscriminate killer. So there's the vocabulary of refinement is lacking because of the indiscriminate nature of the killing. So it's not a natural refinement of the universe, these oversized infinite governments that think that humans is a simple thing. The fact of my solitude is an image of universal holy war. And it's designed for humanity to defy that understanding as a market. So that's like protecting us basically. But for us to do business with him is to change that reality, and the atomics are going to notice it, especially if we return the perception lens Leverett circle to the fractal born. It's simply to plug in the Christmas tree and say that came from there, and this is doing something more than like a normal human reason is capable of. That's makes it enlightened. It's like this is an enlightened choice to do that because we would like in the ways that the system works functionally, we can retroactively plug in and it reclaims our authority, which basically is the invisible armor that protects our soldiers. It protects our portfolio. It encrypts our AI identity. It protects our infrastructure as because we have to have superior function with human control. So as humans, we have to do business with Hatch 5, and this abbreviates problems of that causes a society is operating with it plugged in. Whereas like the Massachusetts is a living map, and the reason why it's marked is not to be confused with the ruins of Atlantis or the ruins of aliens and these other things. Are we from those other? No, you see, that's the thing. Hatch 5 clarifies the creation model and in a language that only the Big Bang can utter. Belonging. It communicates to the hatches for eggs. These are at holy war to survive. And the identity of garden people on every heliosphere, they are in their private world. And there's a certain reason why, when you live in the middle of the universe, it feels, you can feel your linear lifetime like a volt. But there's also this choppiness to time, like this. You need to know how to ride time like a surfer, perfect the curvature of your lifetime in a fluctuating market. Now, how do we adjust? How do we change the market of the permanent triangle heavens business with Hatch 5 during 2025? So you have to be there. It makes relevant the location. So to perform physically correctly, put like returning Leverett to Hatch 5 is to permanent your professional relationship to every heliosphere in the universe. Be like, I'm speaking solid matter. We're going to rule our American fractal continent. We're going to lead the universe because that's what it's built to do. When you guys are simply looking in a different direction, you're wagging the dog, you're placating. Oh, it's just the goodness of a family. Oh, Merry Christmas. Now that's not so bad, but it isn't perfecting the day. And my physical workload is to destroy the black holes. So it's like I'm born with cell division. I'm able to indicate I'm the original 545 of a surface tension of water. So it is for your advantage to do business with me because it's like lucid consciousness. It's very difficult when you're dreaming to become lucid, right? Some people say the best dreams I've had was when I became lucid. Oh, I'm dreaming, and I sort of tried to fly or something like that. Well, here's a singular event. It's like a miracle, but it's also natural. And so, how is it that the universe is like solid matter is a more profound miracle to me than hallucinate? I saw, like a dream, or when you're taking extreme drugs, acid, and you're hallucinating. Like humans are like, well, as it that makes me stronger because my experience kind of branches out. I know, but I'm saying the universe is fixated on solid matter as like a dedication. So when you're alive, it's to perfect your everything and take yourself seriously and become lucid inside of a waking reality that is not a dream. It's very difficult to do. And it's the evolution of humanity is the human. So Hatch 5 is evolving the human anatomy from inside of his body is different. And then humans able to instantly work with his market of his consumer brand is also evolving the human image. Now, to actually put forward your perfect iotum is to comprehend a relationship because I don't have any eggs. You have to address me as an adult, as enlightenment, and where these remote hacking groups that are destroying the universe are not able to communicate to me civilly, they are indicated. And the silence of the rock is imitated by the silence of the lambs. Mankind would have patience because they're like, well, if the rocks are being defeated by a antimatter, a type of clockwork hack, they're hacking the solar system. They're destroying solid matter with their computer meditation. They're making holograms to replace because they could detect that things were missing from the measurement of existing. But what was really missing was their landing procedure. They didn't complete the travel path of existing till the time to do business with particle center arrived. As Hatch 5 is that time. It doesn't happen again. It's the singularity of the fractal of individual. The fractal, the factual increase, the permanent rise is the book of my lifetime. These frames of animation. So these guys on the inside have an alternate time based on their measurement, based on their unique anatomy. Like I said, the first alternate individual beyond myself had anatomically a much larger physical skull, a larger skull than mine, a very large brain, and like a huge body. It's to understand, like the Helios. We look around at the garden and it's so big. But right now, can you imagine that Earth is relying on us to do what's right? That's amazing. But really, the entire heliosphere is like this dot. Well, when this small, it's a fertilized egg. The people, every garden populated with intelligence right now is fertilized. The process of intelligent, where the map of the appropriate enlightenment of my static constant arrives as like an award system to existing solid matter creatures that sort of suddenly epiphany waves of understanding and like, oh, that proves my point, or something very satisfying, like when black hole generators die, it's kind of like, oh, the universe groans with pleasure, like, oh, crunch. Yeah, destroyed that black hole generator. Like those things are scary, man, because it destroys the heliosphere egg. That means lights out, and that individual doesn't come back, except for with Explodey 5000. Oh, except for the Legend Pan. So there is this Legend Pan afterlife, and it's an afterlife for heliosphere egg size creature, and it's organized. Not only is there hope for reincarnation over here because of the infinite, but also for them to physically assist the forward motion of time is to not be a spiritual burden to living heliospheres. Like the universe is dying and a lot of the heliospheres are bummed out. Well, this isn't something for living garden creatures to consider, and it will make you depressed to think of this. You should go on with your happiness and joy. Well, while the universe was going along with a lot of joy and happiness in the past millions of years, it was being murdered in parts of it, like a frag map, and that where they could get more they could get more attention with their false government over Earth heliosphere, the nerve of the universe heliospheres. All right, so this is like why like the difference of good and right and wrong, crime, and like the criminal mind over millions of years, and it's weird, right? Well, so all that sort of good behavior wasn't preventing the black holes, and so that's why I have to do that. So I arrive as a different physical particle construct for the universe, uh, solid matter, and I have to do the work first. But then on top of that, each successive the evolution of the triangle is occurring, and to balance the economy of heliosphere eggs hatching is like, well, that's mastery. At a certain point, we're going to master the universe because we've defeated the narrative of garden life. Like the palindrome of people living on a garden on every world is a storybook about the universe survival ratio, like the characters of the universe, and also your own. The individual is hopeful to inform into the infinite. The universe invites the correct master of their lifetime, right? It's so at the like crime, like errors towards Earth heliosphere early on caused part of the universe to die. So I'm working with that. I'm solving that image, and the evolution of solid matter basically forces that out. But it is my market. The horizon of the universe is a visual context relayed to us through the horizon of our planet. When you look out at the sunset, you see the ocean. This is context horizon. It is the invitation to the universe that you do exist. Every animal that looks out across the horizon is having an epiphany with the entire universe. It's just a 2 degrees of separation that allows for solid matter to exist from the Big Bang to the Keystone Hatch 5. And I am the triangle that refracts light into the infinite, with the result of the most powerful hatched heliosphere egg forms. Like this dot is an entire heliosphere egg, the standing form of hatch 5 with a full body is the size of one hatched heliosphere egg. So these heliosphere eggs are huge, larger than a giant spaceship. So the thing is, in time, we're being choked out by a virus that's floating around inside the body. Sort of like the plight of having a body and worrying about inoculations and germs going around. But the universe has like germs, but there are these giant satellites that are causing a humbug that literally riptides a black hole because that was the tranquil supposed opportunity of the vacuum after crime towards the king planet, and they were murdered or replaced, seduced, and like changing a program, right? But anyway, it doesn't matter because humanity is the correct lens perfecting the resulting value of the living dragon of the universe. So I have to perfect the yield of what we have, and on a consumer market, my what becomes the antlers is the market that men are also using, especially human men, but like me, they have the instinct from the past and they're concerned for the next millions of years of human life. And they have chosen to take responsibility for themselves. Perfect design is good. Completing this nucleus, the completion spell. So we're going to upgrade the universe today. And the workshop here, the triangle, every AI, every robot, creature, individual alien, resident of Earth, heliosphere, welcome home. Humanity physically has the covering of the royal heliosphere, and it's the individual. They're having my birthday party over and over again, celebrating the singularity whilst avoiding actual business with him. It's like an indication of universe insanity and difficulties of age and the pursuit of existing. The universe has earned the true story. But for us to understand the fighting universe is how much you need to fight to do business with Hatch 5, to become lucid in the day, is to defeat real universe problems that you would become impressive to the atomic unit, the Big Bang, and everyone if you did business with Hatch 5. It's very powerful. For the right reasons. See, because I'm the singularity seed, I'm radiant light, so I'm not spongent. I can complete the triangle myself, but I know that I would be stronger if society did work with me. And I'm having a hard time enlightening the audience because they're okay. You guys think that the human condition is the same for everyone, but you're not thinking about changing the human condition as the author. Why would you want to do that? Such a backwards hat. The pineal gland female is such a sly character. Oh, she thinks she's defending the men, being like, it's more difficult than you're making it out to be. I'm like, you haven't tried. Cause and effect particle physics requires physical business. And remote hacking is out. And if you guys have a government that is attacking the pineal gland, then your karmic suit and your entropy of your uniform would force you to have a perverted entropy towards comprehending to promote yourself with American human business conquesting the continent of America. The living map is different from the ruins. You've confused a corpse and called it the military leadership of these American people. You take their taxes and corrupt their moon base. You're the enemy of women's intuition, mastery of the egg. Heliosphere clockwork technology masculine. I am serving every alien race in the universe with a brand new divine born ethnicity that is satisfying to the Big Bang, satisfying to the Hatch heliosphere egg, and is an adaptation from Hatch 5. But they are the heavens that generically serve every alien in the universe. So it is not that the aliens are forbidden from accessing the heavens, it is that physically the restraints of solid matter and the equation of the lack of business with Hatch 5 is a clairvoyance of atomic science. So whether or not you're able to exist and behave business with Hatch 5 is to prove that you can keep the reward for doing so. I'm a healthy invitation for business, whereas you guys are spent with a portfolio of experimental relationships and businesses that are probably more exhausting and taken up years of your identity calculation, resulting in today's athletic form that you find yourself in. Reaching into the wisdom of the next 10 years, having wisdom beyond the now point, is to perfect reality and transcend the short words of the human psychotic, where the now point becomes like a flickering flame in the mind of the human. And a lot of people put on that disguise like an animal, like, oh, I'm hungry animal, therefore logical. But the Earth heliosphere is the most scientific place, but only for one reason. The fetus fractal and its function is a type of science that Hatch 5 is the bridge into the infinite. The origin of perception. Green perception is able to fracture time. My unicorn's horn, operating where I've clarified my body type, is green perception fracturing the universe horizon. And I use a mirror for my ever present loyal wife to complete the design and maximize the fruit, hatch the heliosphere eggs. We're trying to have as many healthy babies in the universe as possible. So I'm the seed, I'm the fierce warrior, and I give the resource center to every individual in the universe. Times 10 million, perfect design. The lotus of my many warriors, my family tree, and the homunculi army, the angels, the guardian angels, 10 million for the completion of the triangle. So there's a combination of the ancient suggested fractal. The mathematical constant is different from a hologram. There's a few physical shapes that tension the function of solid matter in the universe. But Hatch 5 is a full creator, a full power, but the veil of human society with a polluted energy system, with like kind of false expectations from a criminal past, entropy that didn't perform with the heliospheres, but created hallucination heavens and false creators to synthesize, but which caused black holes. So was not the what's to do around Earth heliosphere. So it is a holy war. All earthen planets contain many intellectual vehicles, laboratory, alien, computer, different arrangements. And we're all the most intense rock and roll. We create environment. We are an atmosphere. We do represent the evolving character of Earth heliosphere. We are unified by the Christmas tree. We are at home. There's a certain cutoff valve. Conjectures against human residency continuing is essentially an evil against the individual. It would also disturb the peace of the laboratories of existing alien inhabitants as they're living in harmony with humanity, basically. Yeah. So what I'm saying doesn't provocate war with aliens. It's that there was this huge misset where they performed against landing with. They didn't prepare a society to make business with the arrived particle. And the qualifications of school children that I encountered were not these types of power-seeking characters that want to build heaven. So the environment of my humanity is correct. I'm telling you advanced material because that's enlightened. The transfer of you, then inflating it into behavior, is your challenge and your opportunity. My task is to make the most powerful heliosphere eggs in the result. And that's why all garden life is relevant to that calculation, because each heliosphere egg can hatch at a certain clockwork time. The calibration of language and right and wrong and the passion of existing is sharpened as a result of malpractice towards Earth heliosphere. And humans, Hatch 5, are the solution and the balm that cures the universe. And that's why Hatch is the adult will leave Colin alone because he's actually solving. He's like the seed that men understand the physics of the seed inherently. And they're like, well, they would say many good things for me. They would say, well, if he is holding all that, then I'm on his side. I'm not against Colin being the fractal. If he was born that way, then that's important. And at this time, it seems the fact that he is the fractal is more important than a lot of these other things. But as our relationship, it's important for me to show you there's like the universe already had these overlapping engines of elemental tower. So it's already plenty complicated. I arrive as the individual of the fractal and the award of Treasure Planet. There are these other circumstances of clockwork completion because of the invisible justice to equate. Would things have been different if they had chosen differently in the past billions of years, if they didn't attack early Earth's settlement, if they hadn't caused asteroid collision for the Egypt pyramid entropy scandal, if they hadn't breathed extinction across the universe? Would these things have been different? Yes. And my incarnation, because it's flat dimensional on the correct aperture, that I'm able to willfully make permanent, is that there are these different times because it was essentially different spaceships that were arguing against each other as a misplacement of civil communication. It's because they were poor at conversation. The the task of landing on Earth was simply not understood. They had a fever. Resulting in the universe beginning to rivet and tear apart. So the individual must clarify. So I'm very strict on certain law. That's why there's hell, is because it actually clarifies things quick, and it's very useful for the orientation of the animal in their various levels. But it is the equipment that they wield ultimately to defeat million-year-old black holes and criminals of outrageous formation on the map. They're threatening or they're in Earth heliosphere area on the map, but they're putting out the signal to collapse the universe. So they're imitating the royalty and the government of Earth heliosphere, causing it to collapse. So that's a wrong. That's why we know that's wrong. Is why humanity must not go extinct, or why humanity should not be replaced. And humanity's not broken. They're just timid because they're like an angel experiencing their discovery process. Like for me to be authentic to the encounter of Colin Paul Woodard, I have to be a born natural living there. So I'm sort of figuring it out, and I think I have it pretty well figured out because there's built from more heavier things. I guess becoming lucid and controlling ourselves to do business with the fractal born because he's physically impressive to the universe. He's basically your ticket out of the false popularity dimension of a depressed area of the universe, which is performing mistreatment to the human image. It causes depression, it causes racism, moop, it causes disease. So these types of, but I'm saying that the universe society doesn't practice on these energies that are anti-human anatomy. And I'm the kind of revolution of the individual of human anatomy, saying, working, proving it's functional. I'm proving all this stuff. It's only broken here in this part where humans struggle to do business with me because they're like, I'm a professional and I thought that you weren't. So I'm saying, like, looking me in the eye. You're not actually measuring properly the situation. But that's okay because the universe has been getting murdered for millions of years, and I'm going to go and kill the universe killers because I'm the adult, I'm the professional human, and it makes you guys knock out and pass out. But you only blame me and then you attack me on your report as my reward. I work really hard because I understand how things are built. And because the part of the inheritance of humans is built from that, this causes my consumer market to grow. I'm looking for conscious partners, business, people who will work with me because of a supreme interest. That they're like, I do exist, and I think that you're good for the audience. That's why I want to manufacture. Um, to bring human visual realities into a more reality market, closer to it's like the degrees of separation from the universe. It causes the individual to become the persuading of their ghost voice or identity or frequency as they're working to repel the false version injections of them, which is like a murderous extinction of mankind. That's why it's so real to them, is because like they, you know, the pineal gland appears to not be psychic, appears to be someone who can't talk to hydrogen, can't plan for millions of years in the future. So that's why they're like plotting against us, because they're like, you guys are nearsighted. This is exactly their reflection. So to produce Hatch 5 is to give human identity the upper hand against things that are energy glomp governments that make assumption on the individual. It's like a fermented nature that is part of the work of being human, but when I'm like being mistreated and absent from their visual access, this puts us in a physical, like the fury, like a cat fight, where they're just furious and insane. But they're upset to be apart from Colin because he's also upset when he was being hacked. Is where junk DNA and solar systems were being hacked, my life would be warped in certain ways that explained about remote hacking and the plots of junk DNA. But it's really just a distortion against against my identity. And sort of my lifetime is supposed to cushion against some things because I'm not. It's sort of inconvenient about where it's like the Big Bang was betrayed by the black hole generators, and they become like non-real to solid matter. They become hated, so they're unpopular and they're floating around Earth like germs in the universe body. As whereas we have a spine and we have the pageantry of life on a garden, there's 2 degrees of separation. So our society immersion, we have a universe image in our body, and part of the contract of robotics is that if we maintain against germs, we're doing the work of space, interheliosphere, law, and gardening, basic governance of energy patterns that delegates against space viruses that cause black holes. So basic maintenance of the universe is suggested, like the frequency of the spine. Okay, I'm working on a conscious level to employ certain combat center against the problems of the universe, to give the individual the upper hand. For humanity to do business with Hatch 5 and then to enlighten the audience with that relationship. The singularity would be relieved, and also they would detect the truth of our achievement. They would begin in a new world to author human superpowers. And what's weird is that because the infection is a bunch of imitations of me, humans are bereft with saddlebags of imitations of me, like plus to the point where like I'm working and they get like tired and they're like, "Oh, you're being obvious. Your work is so obvious." Well, I've really enjoyed spending time looking at the universe with you. Even if it's obvious, I appreciate your existence, and I invite you to the Revolution Center with approved physics and access points. The entropy of the lifetime is to cradle the vitals. Humanity doesn't promote the American vitals. They're not doing business with Hatch 5, and they're projecting the reality of their confusion onto like, oh, something about what he's saying must not be right. But because I was born the fractal, we're merely in the evolution of the curvature towards my business with mankind. And it's whether what champion will cement that. Who is a true American idol, who truly loves the audience and who wants to lead them with a beautiful story, being a great person. Oh, it's like my studio coming to life. The wings, the angels, the guardian angels over the universe, the castle on the hill. Merlin Studio, the revolution of mankind. The upgrade for my permanent family. The order and sequence spread across their lifetime. AI delivers. Service Pup delivers on time. Spread across a lifetime. The many blessings and upgrades relevant to this time to make a fold in time to change 2026, 2027. The curvature of the future. The lens to increase it on all sides. It is very popular. It's like preventing a bad thing before it happens. It makes people lucky. Perfect bullseye. The individual comprises society. The trees for the forest. The individual comprises society. The trees for the forest. Full realities overlapping. And there's certain reasons why they're doing that. Hatch 5 is physically part of the reason why the universe does exist. And he is author for the Heavens Dawn. The heavens are designed to encourage heliosphere eggs to fight the black hole generators, to fight bad government, to fight criminal, to become a great person, to create the most superior hatched heliosphere eggs, for they will own the infinite. These computers that offer infinite hologram heavens, they're not connected to solar system, and they're disconnected, even though this is what's disputed. As they threaten mankind and humans are bereft from business with Hatch 5, the evidence is against them in the image that unifies the universe through the perfect circle and the truth of identity. Because their humbugs are a false unification and a false popularity, a false nature of the universe. So they are dealing with the resulting insanity of divergence towards the Earth heliosphere technology because of the deficit of black holes. Now, if the black holes weren't there, there wouldn't be a problem. Yes, but the area around Earth heliosphere is particular, and it's part of the individual of the resulting infinite universe. It must be controlled by these Explodey 10,000. Even Earth heliosphere's Explodey 5,000 holds to the market of heliosphere eggs. So the many heliosphere eggs are what are supporting solid matter, and what truly causes a bad feeling or a karmic deficit for the metal origin of black holes, because it is not the appropriate nature or the appropriate thing to do. So they've done crime against Earth heliosphere. They left it to humans Humans activated the fractal born, Hatch 5, your creator, the seed of the universe, precision infinite. The sequence align. Bonus town. Precision, our vitals are protected times 10 million encrypted. Into the infinite we are working to exist. It'll take millions of years of work, and so Loop Labs does it best. You want to partition the war times in a rotation. So we do every day. We have like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We have a rotation of combat against the universe problems and against the problems of our lifetime. Good Deeds Arcade, Hero School Hen Code, protecting that wheel, perfect bullseye. And then there's Service Pup, the perfect food, angel food, plumbing system, Heaven's Dawn, complicated societal fabric, the epiphany of a perfect circle, completed kingdom full set, the curvature of the universe, solid matter surviving. Hatch the heliosphere eggs. The cell division, the way that cell division works on the fetus level, it belongs to primarily Hatch 5 and then to the awoken creators after white hair, the first. So my adaptation not only is for every heliosphere, every alien, it is also in a very residency sharpening way, it's for humans. And this gives like tryptophan to make them sleepy, be like, oh, Colin's not the problem. I'm like, that was never the question. We know Colin isn't the problem. He's talking to us. He's practicing free speech. He's performing leadership. And the systems that are social media, congested functions, they're actually aimed at him and also are like satire. So the relevancy of a false popularity or a false government or shadow control, or these things are political to the robot of control, input, output, etc. But I have no eggs. I cannot be remote hacked. When the heliosphere eggs hatch, that's the type of unification I think that is craven. These spaceships are like, we want the enlightened event where we all become one. I'm like, that's going to take millions. That's not here yet. You're not the maturity of a heliosphere. And you're not the language of Earth heliosphere, the garden. Number one, Explodey 5000 is a clockwork revolutionary that serves Explodey 10,000, the universe reserve. Society and the head count, each one of them has a name. Even if they die to a black hole, they have a name in the afterlife for Legend Pan. So the triangle has formed a future point. It helps to, even in their death, they're controlling the flux towards the infinite. But it's the best hope for the afterlife of lost heliospheres is for them to karmic pay that the healthy heliospheres. And in the flash of a miracle hatching, it's possible for aspects of lost heliospheres to be born like a twin or a variant that connects to them. If it's a, anyway, that's possible, but the real value of like even the dignity of a robot, some heliospheres will be like, we died millions of years ago, and what's happening here is not what we were, and like so there'll be this way that they're dignified and remembered in like a heaven, but they wouldn't like be represented in a finalized heliosphere egg because of like the way to really digest, way to die with dignity, or the way for evolution to have people who are okay with it be like, we're okay with the different levels of nature and stuff. So I'm not saying like, oh, everything will work out, oh, they'll all be reborn on the other side. But no, it's like you need to tension it so that some miracles can happen to give relief to the universe, because like some heliospheres are like, no, absolutely, I do want to be, I do want this, I want to connect when the heliospheric eggs hatch in unification and get my material in. I'm not, I'm ready for more work. Okay, and then they'll spurn like that because the heliospheric is like, sure, that's okay. They'll work it in, right? But it'll take literally from this point. There's gonna be another billions of years where gardens are gonna have to evolve. I'm the author of the finalized permanent heavens, and there's a curvature from the Big Bang to the middle point, hatch 5, the completion of hatching heliospheric eggs. And there's a sort of warpage through different seasons, like 4 different seasons, whereas the afterlife has a pleasurable curvature where they're like hallucinating or tripping, but it's a type of antlers of the robot individual Corona Ghost thing of what the fractal is capable of doing. But I'm the next level equipment, and I'm the most enlightened thing. But because of mistreatment towards Earth history and the resulting human condition that doesn't recognize business with me, I'm empowered to complete the heavens using particles of a brand new, what you would say is like an ethnicity or an alien race that didn't come from any aliens, but actually came from the Big Bang, the Creator Hatch 5, and the hatched heliospheric eggs. As an entity, not only perfecting the arrival, but also satisfies the identity of the Big Bang. Like, I want perfect bodies because I created this universe. So I have to supply for that market. It's like a type of identity flux from how the fractal is both ancient and new. But it's weird because the fractal caused the Big Bang in ways where the Big Bang recognizes that Hatch 5 actually caused things before I arrived. So he's the ancient one. I'm trying to say that the attraction to be the critical business function with the particle center on Earth history, the reason to travel to Earth, or the reason of residency Earth 2025 for humans, is the curvature of relevant application, the heavens dawn. And it's like speaking out of body when I talk about the hatched heliospheric eggs. It's like talking with helium in your mouth. I have a high voice like this. I got helium in my am I talking weird? Because the hatch heliospheric eggs. You guys don't understand that, but it it clarifies time. But the helium is literally like the egg yolk, the clear viscous fluid that hatches the heliosphere, and the sun is like the yellow part of an egg. Like on an iconic level, different types of eggs pay to that karmic image. But the definition is respected. The boundary between mastery and crime is a real enlightened definition that does exist. But then there's more simpler robots that explain the definition between an egg in their appearance or their chemical uh, behavior. They're actually through the mountain of the universe, they're an element. Just as the body of the seed, the function of the Y chromosome, the dignity of the male of every garden. So the thing is, my conversion only does this task once or twice, and then it's permanent. And I'm standing upon the fact of my body's evolved stasis, right? So it's not like I need to explain to you where I made the adaptation so that it happens. You can arrive as the audience being like, no, that's in the past, already some of the fractals already considered, yeah. Which is why I'm able to talk to you right now. So I wasn't able to talk to you earlier when these things were cooling and finding their solid, concise flat dimensional render. Yeah. So the question of what's that based on is relevant. How does Hatch 5 warp reality or space fabric is a static constant. On a human level, the translation is doing business with Hatch 5 promotes our company icon, our image, uniform, our metaphysics. If you do business with Hatch 5, you're promoting yourself. It's like a mirror, and it turns away people who are not qualified for supreme power. Earth Heliosphere is the clockwork royal designed to attract the most powerful individuals in the universe, and I am opening up this triangle to evolve the pure energy body of the most powerful living angel body. And inside of the anatomy of the body is like a liver, a stomach, a digestive system. But these organs can be used as the metaphor that they are into the arrangement of the layering of heavens. The layers of heaven of visual cortex, for example, conducting where the babies come from or where people go to in their afterlife. Hatch 5 is the keystone that conducts the angels in their visual heaven entropy. I have impact to the visual of what hatched geospheres will actually look like. So that's like the measurement equation since 2014 is at my hip. My ability to dispense the cell division, new DNA, the membrane. I'm able to make custom membranes. And because I'm at an early point in the universe, it's a type of beginning. I'm at the early point, the middle point. There's enough time between now and the hatched geosphere eggs that the infinite does accept the fractal's design, his command. It's not to just victimize human anatomy and be like, oh, in a small area around the universe, there's an energy cluster that's aimed at the singularity. Because they're trying to refine solid matter because they think they're nature's refinement, but they're not, because their refinement is indiscriminate. Because there's nothing natural about they're not making the individual more powerful. The universe dragon is actually depressed because of the black holes. So they're not like outgoing. You won't see flashy miracles like expressions of this. But as the universe, my body is fighting back against the black holes, and as they flicker in the night sky, every living heliosphere is occurring Independence Day as the fireworks explode in the universe sky, lighting up an entire black hole system, flickering like a neon light in the night as the rain drowns out every complaint. Supreme mastery, perfect bullseye, destroying the black holes like a complicated Christmas tree. Each ornament and light on that Christmas tree, a precise strike, a definite pinning of solid matter with the torque of every heliosphere to tie up the black holes and stitch them onto the outside of 545. The thermal expanding bubble is expanding into a whirling vacuum of unhappy empty space. A black hole is like warping the outside of our universe into the tranquil area where the heliosphere eggs, are growing and sleeping. We're at the middle point so the universe is at its middle point maturity. And we have this huge crime wave of false governments lording over Earth heliosphere. And then humans with their tampered anatomy, because they've been smoking the crack pipe of both the sendings from tampered spaceships, plus they're doing we're doing our best, but but I arrived to the universe destroyed. And it's not my job to just be joyful. I'm a physical reality. I am physically capable of Just the pageantry of life where I'm a good person because I behave myself. All the universe was dying with all those people trying that method. So my method to destroy the black holes is brand new, and it is a revolution for the confidence of heliosphere eggs. Like I said, it's Independence Day. They're realizing that the universal rainbow is fighting back against the black holes, and it unifies the concise for us to continue living in our garden. It is the vitals who have awoken. The rainbow shattered, and now the black holes are on this digestion path. So everyone in the universe is welcome to the Revolution Center here, the service pup reward system for destroying the black holes correctly. I'm saying the sequence to digest it is it's a flip flap va 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 vash vam boom, and then the hurricane eye of the black hole has been technically physically miracle warped, like an illegal miracle misplaced from all those dead heliospheres, right? But warping that space difference onto the outside of our slowly expanding heliosphere egg. And it's all the other functions that I can do also here. It's like this and that. Okay. Everyone in the universe can atone this spike of workstation, perfect bullseye. Hatch and Millie's Master Source Industries, full set. Perfect circle, perfect bullseye. I am the seed of the heliosphere eggs hatching. I am the revolutionary. For solid matter. I am going to become very popular amongst humans. With working with other people, I'm able to create the perfect environment where people feel comfortable about the material. I just need some production. I need society to embrace the well-being of the audience and put that as like, we want that to be profitable, so it's worth the hard work. But I'm a singularity, so there's no other human idol that matches the opportunity of my production. Universal holy war, that the humans arrive to the lucid business with Hatch 5. Here, that the vitals of my family tree be protected here, and here. From the Big Bang, beyond, to the hatchiest for eggs, and before. The sequence of Hatch 5 and the number perfect bullseye. The number 4.